Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Johnny and I'm so glad that you're here today. Hope today's going great. Hope the week is going great. Today's a Saturday when I'm filming this, and so I, in a way, got a day off, but I still got all this other work to do. School, housework, this stuff, you know. So it's a busy weekend, but it's a fun weekend for sure. And so I'm just glad you guys are here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to continue to see more content like this, or suggest other content that you'd like to see, different products that I can go over, or just tips and tricks for like photography or videography, or just whatever it is. Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear the suggestions. So today's video is a little different than what I used to do in the past, and I think I'm going to kind of go continuing with this because I do have a few niche products that not everyone has either heard of or cares to even dive into or purchase, or I think the biggest thing is probably not heard of. And it's this product right here is the first one that I'm going to be doing, is the reMarkable Tablet 2. They have another one, but their first iteration of this honestly felt more like just a Kickstarter, honestly, and that's fine. But this product right here is very, I think, niche and very specific in its use compared to other tablets out there. So this review is going to be a little different than other like reviews that you might see online. I kind of want to just go over how I use it. Obviously there's a good place for those other reviews where you kind of get into tech specs and all these other things. I'm guilty of watching them. I find them very interesting and I think they're very useful, but I also think that it doesn't give you the full idea of how that product could be used, or should be used, or shouldn't be used. And I think this is one of those products because it's very niche and it's honestly more of, some people might consider it a luxury item, but I have found this to be something that I use every day in my own life, within my own business, within my own, job that I work at, school or whatever. And I wanted to go over some different aspects of this thing, and I will go over a little bit on the tech specs as well. But I really want to share my experience with the reMarkable Tablet 2. So first off, if you haven't heard of reMarkable, most people haven't. A few other channels have gone over this tablet for sure, but I feel like they missed the mark on how it should be used. I've been using this for about 2 years now, and I use it literally every day. And so reMarkable claims this to be the world's thinnest tablet, and honestly, I mean, I thought we were past like getting to the thinnest device possible, but they haven't. And I think for their product, it kind of makes sense because they're trying to replicate what it is to write on paper. I know the iPad's doing that, I know other devices are doing that, but this has a focus on writing specifically, minus all the distractions that you would get from maybe another device like an iPad, Samsung tablets, or whatever it might be, a 2-in-1 laptop. So to go over the tech specs just real briefly, we'll kind of cover other things too as we go along in the video, but on the overview, it's a 10.3-inch e-ink display, so similar to what your Kindles are using. It's a monochrome, so there's no color in that. Now, we'll go over later how the pen works on this and what they call the marker. I don't know why, but I call it the pen, they call it the marker. How it works with the tablet, and then how you can use that for different applications, sharing, exporting, note-taking, whatever it might be, a little later in the video. The reMarkable tablet does charge via USB-C, which is fantastic. We'd love to see that. The USB-C, super fast charging, quick data transferring, even though with this is typically more on a cloud-based file sharing system rather than through a USB connection. But honestly, I find that fine because I'm not really doing that much sharing with this tablet, despite what reMarkable is marketing, saying that you can do all these different things and sharing and whatnot. I find this to be used in a different way for myself, but it's nice to know that they're doing a USB-C, and it's a super, it doesn't take a lot of space, there's no extra bump, there's nothing like that. It's very minimal. So I was drawn to this product because of how minimal and thin and how light of a footprint it has, especially when it goes in the backpack. Because I got the tablet, I got this, and the MacBook. To talk about the battery life, this is a 3000 milliamp hour battery. They claim for it to last for 2 weeks. I noticed it to go longer than 2 weeks depending on my usage. And if I'm using it a lot, 2 weeks is about right. charging this, I haven't really able to get an exact number on that because I never really cared to. I never had to really charge it to 100% because of it dying. But what I've noticed, even today, I was charging from 11%, and within like about, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes, it went to 25%. So super quick on that. There's never been an issue about the battery on this device, which I love, which is another thing that kind of keeps me to this device and using an iPad in a lot of instances, is because I don't have to constantly keep charging it. It's just always ready to go on, boom, gotta take some notes type of deal. So really quick, just want to mention that the display is not backlit. It's because of the e-ink display. Those are just not backlit so that you have a more normal reading or writing experience, just like the Kindles. There's less eye strain, longer usability, and you don't have to drain the battery, you know, as quickly as you would with a backlit display. So for those who want to know, no backlight, which honestly for me is a perk for a device like this. Next, we're coming to their pens, or what they call as their marker, because it's reMarkable, therefore they got the marker, and it's great marketing on their part. It is probably my favorite thing to write with on a device. Granted, I do like writing. I do have my favorite pens, of course. I still write in a journal type style fashion sometimes, but this is like my main writing utensil or tool, whatever you want to call it. And main reason being is the feel of it when you write. Second being it's magnetic, just like the Apple Pencil, of course, is magnetic. It goes right there. Can go on the screen as well. It's a little bit magnetic here as well. Not strong enough though if you were to hold it upright. You kind of do this, and it's holding now, but it'll definitely start sliding. And then the back is definitely one of those better instances where I use it. When I'm going somewhere, I don't like have to put it right on the edge there. I can just slap it on the back. Bam, I know it's gonna be here. And so therefore it being magnetic is super awesome, and it could just be placed anywhere on that tablet. One downside to that though is the fact that there's so much headroom here, and it doesn't it just doesn't stay. And I feel like that's a big miss from reMarkable. Like, why is that such a big gap? I feel like this makes perfect sense to have there. Also, I don't know why they just didn't extend the display down to here. I'm sure they have their reasons, but I would like to see that, you know, whole use of the tablet space for writing. You don't have to recharge this pen at all. It doesn't use a battery. It's fantastic. I don't have to worry about charging another device. It just pull it out of the backpack, out of the case, boom, you're done. You're ready to go, ready to write, just like a pen would. And I think that's really where this shines, is the fact that you don't have to do that. Another feature that I just don't know why Apple doesn't do it. As much as I don't like actually use the Apple Pencil, I still have it, and occasionally I'll use it if I have to. Why doesn't it come with a back end eraser? This does. Right here, you're never gonna see this. Right here is the eraser. And you'll see there's kind of like this, it's got kind of like a squishy element. So when you touch it, it makes connection to the tablet, and then you're erasing, just like you would like a pencil. It's one of the greatest features that's so overlooked, I think, on all other type of like writing tools or devices or pens from other tech companies, is because now I have to touch the button to get to the eraser. And it just takes you out of the flow of writing. So as a writing tablet, I'm really glad that they add this to their pens. But the one downside to that is you have to pay extra to get this one. They have a base model pen, which is, again, no recharging. It's, you know, using the same technology, except they just don't add this other bit. There's a little bit more weight to this one as well, which I like. So you are going to pay a little bit of a premium price for that, but I do feel like it's worth the extra bit if you're really big into needing it to have a full functionality of like a pencil or whatever it might be. For me, I really felt like I needed that, and I love it. Now we're coming to the pen tip. So the pen tip, since it doesn't recharge, you know, you're still something you're kind of compromising on. And so the display actually uses electromagnetic induction to kind of make the connection from the pen to the tablet to actually make any kind of input for you to start writing. It's almost like lag free. It's amazing. It's instant. And that's what I love about it. There's no delay or anything like that. Because if you know, anytime you get a delay in anything that's kind of like a sensory type of input, drives you nuts. So this doesn't have that, which I'm really glad to say, because again, you spend some money on this, which we'll get to price at the end. So it's really good to see that they developed or implemented that technology into this tablet. The one downside though is that you do have to replace the tips ever so often. Not as often, you gotta think about it like as if you're writing with a pencil, you gotta sharpen it up again, except you don't need to sharpen it as frequent as a pencil might need. And so they have these little tips here, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but they're really tiny, but they give you a lot when you first purchase your tablet and pen. And I've only needed to buy replacement ones like literally like last month or 2 months ago, within the whole 2 years that I've been using this. Maybe it's because I don't write as much or as frequent. I'm not writing novels on here. I'm not writing or designing things. I'm just taking notes and ideas and brainstorming. Again, everyone's mileage might vary, but I find this to be okay. If I can have this instead of the charging, fantastic. I love that. And also, they're not that expensive. It is like $36 for 30 of them. But again, they last so long. Again, your mile may vary, but for me, it's been fantastic. The writing experience with the reMarkable marker has probably been the best experience I've ever had with writing with like a device other than paper and a pen and a pencil. Sometimes even better because it's consistent. It's always gonna have the same kind of feel, and the more you use it, the better you use it. Whereas I think personally with the Apple Pencil, I have to get different pen tips, different papers, screen protectors to go on it to make it feel more like the real thing. And with this, the closest thing I think that we've gotten in the technological aspect to that. Yes, you got to replace the pen tip, whatever, but the actual connection to the display when the pen hits is instant. And something about like the refresh rate in that connection is real time, if anything. Like it's not, there's no lag behind it. There's no refresh rate that makes it feel choppier. It's just an instant response. And there's almost a grittiness when you're writing with it, like you would have on paper. Like there's a friction. It's not very glossy and gliding and going all over the place. And so as me who uses this every day, I feel like this is a benefit. This tablet is meant to get rid of distractions, and it does that really well. But when they start marketing like integrations for your Google Drive and OneDrive, and you can share PDFs and you can do screen sharing, like those are all things that are useful, but it's not the focus of the tablet. The tablet is meant to be a really, really good writing tablet to take notes, brainstorm, maybe doodle like designs, eliminate the paper waste that you might have in your home. I know for me, I don't remember the last time I wrote on a piece of paper. I use this all the time. So for those things, that's the majority of what this tablet is, and it does it really, really well. But when they come to the software, like marketing especially, I noticed that they like to use these like words of integration and sharing and community and all these things, which are, it's very Apple-esque, but it's not really, I think the purpose of the tablet. This tablet has Google Drive implementation, which again, it could be really helpful. It's nice to have. I used to be able to pull reports off of this and just kind of, again, not have to print another thing. But it's very like limited use cases where I don't find that as like a feature set. I just find that as more as like, I guess you can do it. It's more gimmicky, honestly. But for someone who might use that on a daily basis, maybe like yourself, then maybe this is actually a great option for you by eliminating all those other apps like Instagram, TikTok, or whatever, and you're able just to focus on the work aspect of it. Now, they just recently updated their OS to a new version that allows you to share files from your Microsoft Word doc or your PowerPoint doc and bring it here, but it's not like you can present off of it. At least I don't think you can. I've tried to, I couldn't find anything for that. but you are able to send that whole document over to here, mark it up, but not make any changes necessarily. So it's more of like a revision tool for someone that has given you their revision maybe, and then you take it or send it back to them, and then they can make those adjustments in PowerPoint or Word. Maybe it's good for teachers who are grading papers and they want to be able to mark up things without having to print the page. I guess you can see that, but again, I'm talking about how I use it, and I definitely don't use it for those reasons. I have actually never used it. It's a cool integration, and I think it's a cool update that they put into the tablet, but I don't see myself using that as often as maybe someone else who has a more niche workflow. And with that, you know, you have all these integrations, and I think this is the benefit of those integrations, is because their software updates are big. Not big in size, big in like, they make a difference. So with the software updates, they're really a big change from the previous edition. I think really a benefit of having a smaller company, because they're able to focus more on those things. So when version 2.3 or whatever comes out, it's going to be different than version 2.2 for sure. It's like the iOS update from iOS 6 to iOS 7. I believe that was the one where they kind of overhauled the entire UI interface styling. I feel like that's kind of what this does a lot, which is a good thing. I like to see these big changes. I like to see the innovation. I like to see the integrations. I just can't say that I use these integrations, but I like to see that they're implementing this tech without having to release a new tablet. They can just use the existing hardware. So I mentioned before that the OS is a very lightweight OS, and you can do everything from your copying, you would in an iPad writing application. You know, you're circling the text, you're moving the text, you're copying the text, you're moving folders over, you're copying folders, you're making what they call our notebooks. And so it's very similar to any other device you're using, any other system application or whatever it might be. You're making the folders, you're copying the files, you're sending the files. It's all very familiar. Now they have a different, you know, scheme to naming their different things, and that's, you know, they got the folder, which is, you understand that. Then they have notebooks. So notebooks are what go in the folders. But I guess you can make another folder within a folder, but you can't make another notebook within a notebook. And then they have something called quick sheets, which is like your scratch piece of paper. I love this. I use this all the time. Gotta take a note, quick sheets, boom, done. Gotta sketch something out, boom, done. An idea came up to mind, boom, there it is, quick sheets. And it makes sense, you know, you don't want to have to make a new thing every time. Take the quick sheets, you can copy whatever that text is later, put it into a notebook, and there you go. So I do really appreciate that kind of system. One thing I forgot to mention is that the storage is 6.5 gigabytes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I'll even show you here. Right now, I've used only 0.45 gigabytes out of that, and at my most intense file storing journey, I guess you can say, I've only hit maybe about halfway, and that's a lot of notes. I mean, a lot. And long notes. I mean, pages and pages and pages and pages. So it's really comforting to know that you're not going to really run out of storage, and you can delete those quick sheets that you can get rid of right away, and it clears up storage really quick and real fast. And I've never had like storage anxiety, if you want to call it that. So I think this is actually a benefit. Granted, I know people like to see more storage. Everyone wants to see more storage, but I feel like for this form factor and the device that it's trying to beat, it makes sense. All right, the little guy wanted to hang out for just a little bit. He's an interesting one. His name's Thor, and he just wanted to say hi. So he's here you go. Okay, buddy. So one feature that I do like that the reMarkable tablet does bring is the fact that you can do the screen sharing to the other device, like a tablet, TV. So how do I use this device in my own personal life? I know you kind of heard a little bit when I was going over a few other things there for the reMarkable tablet, but what I use it for is a tool that goes in conjunction with all the other devices that I have in my backpack. What I have in my backpack, typically that comes with me that's a display, is a reMarkable tablet, my iPad, which is not actually the M1 iPad right now because my wife uses that. I actually use that 12, is it the 12? Or I think it's a 10.5 inch original like iPad that has like the curved, you know what I'm talking about. It's like the $350 one. I use that. Does have an Apple Pencil. I never use it. And then I also have my laptop. And so with those three things, I find that to be my best workflow. I have the laptop as my main display, you know, and then I have the iPad as a secondary display as I connect it over Sidecar. I use those two things together as I have Premiere Pro open. I have the source monitor on the iPad, and or vice versa, and I have it working for me in that way. Whereas this is when I have to quickly jot something down, or I have to take notes, or it's just an application where I need to be writing this thing. It just helps me get my ideas out better out there. Yes, you can use the Post-it notes. I still use the Post-it notes sometimes. Sometimes, you know, you got to write it in Apple Notes or a Microsoft Word. I use all the things, but I find this to be most useful for writing in itself, and it's not meant to be a replacement. I never wanted it to be. I think I tried at one point, but then I realized that it's more of a replacement for the paper. I never use paper anymore. I don't print out things anymore unless my boss specifically asks me to, but it's always going through this. They send me a file, I'm downloading it onto here, done. I don't want to have to use paper again. And not necessarily only just for the environmental things, it's just things can pile up. I'm trying to minimize and bring down the footprint of what I have to carry or what I have to file through. So if I can do that through this and the iPad and the MacBook, those three devices, which are all pretty lightweight, that for me is game changer. The only thing with this is the price. It's $439, I believe, the last time I checked, and it doesn't come with the pen. So that's my gripe. I think reMarkable should come to the customer and they should say, hey, here's the pen also with the tablet. But then I guess also the iPad doesn't do that, but the iPad also is a different device in itself. I would like to see the pen included, even if there's a third option, which is the most basic. I don't know what that would be. Maybe different materials to make it cheaper, but it doesn't come with the pen. So $439, and then you have the pen, which I think is another $60. Not as much as an Apple Pencil, and honestly I think more benefit, but it's not a cheap device. So that's why I say it's a very niche device. It's not perfect by any means, but I think it is the closest to writing on paper tablet out there, and it does a fantastic job. I'm glad that you guys were able to sit down with me, kind of go over the reMarkable tablet. First time doing any kind of review on a product in a format like this. Of course, I recommend these things to friends and family. And everyone always questions me as to why I would use this. Why don't you use the paper? You're spending the money. But I find this to be tremendously useful for me and the way that I work and the way that, you know, things kind of flow. You might call that the workflow, you know. Let me know in the comments what you think about the tablet. If you have one yourself or you were kind of on the fence about it. It's hard to recommend because it's so niche and the price is quite expensive, but they are a small company. I'm not sponsored by this by any means. I just really love this product and wanted to share it with you guys. And so let me know what other things you might want to see me review, or if you want to see content like this again. I have plenty of niche products around here, or things that people might be like, is it worth getting or is it not worth getting? And I definitely have both of those. So let me know if you want to see more of this. I greatly appreciate you guys being here in the video with me and being able to support me with all the other things that I've done. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and like if you like this video and you want to see more of that content. And don't forget to comment down below. I appreciate you guys. You guys have been reMarkable, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Deuces.